darlings, Sally here from Sillier and Sally. Today I have a cute little kids watercolour art class for us. I say kids, but anyone can do it. It's for adults too. But this one's really cool. The kids can join in, have a bit of play with it. It's not too intensive or too many layers involved. This is what we're going to paint. So, a cute, sweet, colourful rainbow. That's what we need right now in the world, more rainbows. So that's why I've done this class. And I've also just created it to help fill any gaps that people are having, parents are having with their kids at the moment, trying to figure out things for them to do when they're all cooped up together. I know I'm trying to figure out things for my kids. So, just grab yourself some watercolour paper, right? Something thick. Use whatever you've got though. For any of the supplies I talked to you about, do substitute with anything that you've got. You don't have to go and buy stuff. So you can use whatever type of watercolour set you've got. It comes in so many, a variety, whatever. I personally use Daniel Smith watercolours. I love them. They're amazing. They're bloody expensive though, so don't worry about buying them. You need a pencil. So I usually use a paste, or you can use a lead pencil. An eraser. This is called a kneadable eraser, and this one here is just your standard eraser, or you can get them in stick forms. I find that the sticks don't rub too much on the watercolor paper because it degrades the paper really quickly. We also use at the end a black pen. I use two in this one, a thin and a thick one. Substitute with whatever you've got. You can even use a black pencil or a black texta. If you're going to put pen on your watercolor paper, and your pen is not waterproof, don't then paint over it. That's the only suggestion I have. So try out the pens that you've got on like a scrap piece of watercolor paper. Do a little bit of painting, let it dry and see what your pens are like going over it, and then choose your favorite. This one here that I use a lot is called a Sharpie pen. Now it's not a paint pen, it is just a pen, like a biro ink, thin point pen. Okay, makes sense? Yeah, we don't need much else. Where I'm going to go through the drawing stage and then through the painting. Most of it's just 1 or 2 layers, and then we're going to all have our beautiful rainbows at the end. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Tag me with them. I'd love to see them online and whatnot, what you've created, and I'll have some more watercolour classes coming in May, some probably bigger ones. Okay, big love to all. Bye. So let's get started on our sketch. I have my watercolor paper, and I'm literally just drawing a big, like, McDonald's M for the rainbow, for the main rainbow. And I'm going to have my cloud. I want a cloud around about here, and I'm going to have a star up here. So I'm just going to do a quick basic shape of my cloud. Something big, round, and fluffy. I might even go out like that instead. And then I'm going to put a star here. And again, I'm keeping it kind of big. I haven't done it really dark because this probably won't be where it sits, the end piece. I might have to move it around once I've figured out my rainbow. So I'm doing my, say, my middle arch. I usually kind of start from the middle and just go for it. There we go. And then I'm going to do my outside arches. Got a bit small there. That's all right. Actually, I might make this a bit lower. Like I might make it more like that. My lead has run out, of course. Okay, I'm back and I have lead in my paste now. It's always handy. And I'm just bringing it around like that. And then I'm going to get rid of this line here. And this line here. Okay. Who would have thought drawing arches would be so tricky, hey? And here's the next one. try and get as many of these strips in as possible because it's kind of cool to have a good opportunity to get lots of colours in because each one is going to be a separate colour strip. All right, here we go. And I'm going to get one more in around the outside. And then a couple on here. Oops. And then another one like that. I might just fix up these two. There we go. It's a bit wonky, but most of my work is. So if yours is wonky too, don't be worried about it. I'm doing my kind of corners on my star a bit rounded so it looks like a nice happy soft star, not a stern sharp star. And I'm just going to get rid of this inner line here. There, one completely wonky rainbow. Cool. Okay, so now that we have our lovely wonky rainbow, let's choose our colours. With your colours, use whatever watercolours you have at home. That's what I'm doing. I've just got a tissue, I've got my water jar, I've got dirty water, clean water, so I usually have more than one jar. And I'm going to choose my colours. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours here that we can do. So maybe we should start with, say, maybe we'll start with the yellow or the orange. That'd be nice. So we'll start with an orange and then we'll just pop our colours down on a test paper so we can see how they look together. So there's a nice deep orange. We'll do a yellow. And then from there, let's do a nice green. The colours all kind of talk nicely to each other. They naturally go from one colour to the other. So then from green, you can go to blue. Get a kind of dynamic blue in there. And then from blue, you can naturally go to purple. You can choose any colours you like for something like this. And then from here, you can go to pink. Okay, so I have my basic colour palette that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to start. First colour is the orange. If you need to use a smaller brush to get in some of the details, go for it. I like mine to have lights and darks, so sometimes I just come in with some water and let it kind of peter off a little bit, and then I come back in with some colour. Add a bit more here. Now I might skip this one and go to here. That way I can give this a chance to dry. So I'm going to now go to green on the third colour, sorry. And I've just loaded up my brush with green paint and I'm just going for it. Again, you can use a smaller brush on those little edges. I just basically pulled in some water. And if you want, you can grab a darker colour. I'm just using a darker green now, dropping it in those edges. Yeah. I don't think it has to be perfect, so don't worry too much about perfection. And the next colour, if we jump over the next one, the next river will be pink. I've got my brush loaded with pink, plenty of paint on there and plenty of water. You can use that smaller brush again if you need to. I'm using heavy pigments in some area and then more water in other areas. For me, I like it because it just gives it more gradients and darker tones and lighter tones, and I kind of think that looks fancy. Now I'm going to move on to the yellow in here. And I don't mind if my colours bleed. I quite like it when they bleed, but I also don't mind leaving a little gap of a white either, so see how yours works for you. I put a little splash of yellow up and around. And I also might put a little bit of salt up here now. Try not to put it on anywhere that's too wet. You want to be putting salt on damp paper, not soaking wet and not dry. Okay, and then the next one, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bugger. I've got one stripe too little. Okay, we might do purple in there rather than blue because I'm going to do blue down here. And what I will do is put some blue into here. Silly Sally can't count, but that's okay. Who needs to count when you make art? So I'll just do something like this. I'll put a little bit of blue in these areas, so there's still some blue in there. And I might do a little bit of blue splats. Sorry, blue. Okay, we'll go to purple. So when you do your painting, try not to forget the blue if you can. But then again, it's all good if you do. I'm a big splatter, so I just kind of get my brush out and do this. You can do like this, or you don't even have to do anything like that if you don't want to. I might add a bit more blue in there because I feel it needs it. I like that, that looks good. I might add a few pink splotches. Okay. Alright, so now I might get a smaller brush and just neaten off here a little bit. And now I might get that blue and do my clouds. I'm just putting a bit of blue around the outsides. And then I'm going to spread it in a moment. I might bring a little bit of purple in here as well. A little bit of pink. And while that's still wet, I'm going to move that colour around. Oops. There. It's kind of pretty, right? Okay. I might get a little bit of this and just soften off some of my cloud. Okay, now I'm going to get yellow and I'm going to do the star. And I'm once again just putting a little bit on the outsides. Might do a darker colour down here. And get a clean damp brush. And soften it off. Some yellow. I will put some more salt. I just got table salt again. I'll put some more salt in around. And on my cloud and star. And it looks kind of cute. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add maybe a few little drips from here and from here. We'll see how this works out. Sometimes it just goes a bit all over the place, but we'll give it a good go. So I've got some blue here. And I'm just going to pop a little bit there and there. I'll do the same with the pink. And I'll do the same with the star over here, because we don't want the star to be left out. Okay, and now when I lift it up, I'm going to have clean water ready to go. And I'm just going to encourage the art pieces along. There. Just clean up. Voila. And I might go in with a little bit more splotchies, blobettes, as some of my lovely ladies that follow me online call them, which I love that they've actually made up a new name for my little splotches. Okay. Now I think that's pretty much done in that sense. Probably added too many splotches, but oh well. I do get a bit carried away. My rainbow is looking too neat for my liking. Too perfect. Oh, I snorted. All right, so I'm going to stop snorting. We're going to let this dry. I use a dryer, quick dryer. Let it dry completely. And we'll take all the salt off. And then we'll go in with a pen and do some detailing. All right, see you in a minute. Bye. Okay, so now my piece is completely dried. And I have taken the salt off. I've just gotten a dry tissue. And I rub the salt off. And I pop the salt into the bin. Your piece must be 100% dry before you take the salt off. Now I'm just going to get a dark kind of grey, Payne's grey, and I'm going to water it down, this type of colour, and I'm just going to add a few little shadows to try and make the star and the cloud pop out. So I'm just going to put a bit in here and here. Kind of cute. And I'm just going to soften off those edges. And I'm also going to add that same colour down here, like as if it's a drop shadow. Once again, I just soften off my edges. And I'm going to do the same over on this side. And rather than leave it like that, oopsies, I again soften off those edges. And I'm going to add a little bit more down here too. And I'm just softening it off with a clean, damp brush. Okay. Now, once again, we're going to let that dry completely. If you've got a hairdryer or a craft dryer, you can speed up the process. And then we're going to go in with just a little bit of pen work. Thought that needed a little bit more. All right. Let's try it and then do some pen work and then we're finished. So my piece is completely dry. It has to be 100% dry to then use any pens. I always use a Sharpie, but I'm also going to use a thick pen here. It's a little bit thicker. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a pop in the shadow areas. This is waterproof. This is not. So don't use anything that's not waterproof if you're then going to paint over it again. Just a tip from someone who's learned that the hard way. So I am just going to go now and outline parts of my, oh, what's this thing called again? Rainbow, that's what it's called. And I'm not too worried about it being neat or perfect or anything like that. I'm just bringing some of the details back in that I've lost during the painting process. Okay, so I'm going to go and do that in the whole piece, and I'll see you on the other side. All right. As you can see, I haven't outlined the whole piece, just some parts of it, and now I'm going to go with a thicker one, just because I feel like this style of painting needs a bit more oomph than what little one doesn't like a bit more oomph in their art piece, eh? What do we think? A nice fancy rainbow? Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I'd call that finished. I hope that you and your little ones love painting it. Create whatever type of rainbow calls to you. You certainly don't have to copy this at all, but I just wanted to create something that mums and dads can do a little paint along with their kids during these crazy times when we're all locked in together for way too long. I hope this rainbow adds a little bit of love and light to your life. Okay, see you at some stage down the track with some more art classes or just online. All right, bye.